In the suffocating darkness of Schloss Ehrenburg, on a fog-drenched November night in 1901, Prince Philipp of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha stood trembling before an ornate Venetian mirror, his military dress uniform crumpled on cold marble floors like discarded dignity, like abandoned honor, like everything he was supposed to represent as European royalty. What he was about to do would brand him a criminal in the eyes of God, a sexual deviant in the unforgiving court of public opinion, and an unspeakable disgrace to centuries of noble bloodline that stretched back to the Holy Roman Empire itself. But the forbidden fire burning through his chest, consuming his very soul, was stronger than duty, stronger than paralyzing fear, stronger than the golden throne that bore his family name, stronger than the crushing weight of a crown that felt like a noose around his neck every single day of his tormented existence. This is not the sanitized, whitewashed fairy tale they spoon-fed you in sterile history textbooks. This is the raw, devastating, soul-crushing truth about a bisexual prince who lived such a dangerous, treacherous double life that European monarchies across the continent conspired in shadowy meetings to completely erase his existence from every official record, every royal portrait, every family tree that might expose their shameful secret. Tonight, we're violently cracking open the forbidden vault of royal scandals, exposing secrets so explosive, so earth-shattering, that powerful families ordered assassinations to keep them buried in unmarked graves. Prince Philip didn't just break society's rigid moral rules, he obliterated them into 1,000 glittering pieces, each razor-sharp fragment reflecting a different tortured face of his fragmenting soul. Born into a suffocating world where men like him were imprisoned in dank dungeons, surgically castrated by court physicians, or systematically driven to suicide by psychological torture, he chose the most perilous path imaginable. He chose to live authentically in a court built entirely on elaborate lies, theatrical performances, and deadly deceptions. What you're about to discover will completely obliterate everything you naively believed about European nobility and their pristine public images. Because while other princes played safe political games, Philipp was playing with literal dynamite that could detonate his entire world. Every stolen midnight kiss, every dangerous rendezvous in abandoned castle corridors, every whispered confession of forbidden love was essentially a death sentence waiting to be signed in his own blood. The psychological torment was absolutely unbearable, crushing his spirit daily. Imagine waking up every morning wearing a suffocating mask so emotionally heavy it slowly crushed your soul into dust. Imagine sitting through endless state dinners while your aching heart belonged to the beautiful stable boy silently serving wine, knowing one glance could doom you both. If you're ready to descend into the darkest, most forbidden corridors of royal power, where passionate love becomes psychological warfare and simple truth becomes high treason, hit that subscribe button now, because what we're about to uncover together will permanently change how you see every glittering crown, every golden throne, every smiling royal portrait forever. But the catastrophic night that destroyed Prince Philip's life forever wasn't his first transgression. It wasn't even his most dangerous. It was the night someone was watching from the shadows, carefully taking detailed notes, methodically building an ironclad case that would bring down an entire empire. Prince Philipp Heinrich August of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha was never supposed to feel the things that awakened in his teenage body during those sweltering summer months of 1896 at the family's hunting lodge in the Bavarian Alps. While his royal cousins across Europe were being groomed for strategic marriages and political alliances, 15-year-old Philip was experiencing a sexual awakening so forbidden, so dangerous, that it would have sent him straight to the gallows if anyone had discovered the truth. The first time he felt it, he was watching the stable master's son, Klaus, shoeing horses in the scorching afternoon heat. Klaus had stripped to the waist, his muscled torso glistening with sweat as he worked the forge, completely unaware that he was awakening something monstrous in the young prince, watching from the shadows of the royal stables. Philip's heart pounded so violently he thought it might burst from his chest. His palms grew slick with perspiration. His breathing became shallow, desperate. This wasn't just curiosity. This was raw, primal desire that terrified him to his very core. But what made it infinitely more dangerous was that Philipp didn't just desire men. He desired women too. In a world that barely acknowledged homosexuality existed, being attracted to both sexes made him a walking paradox, a sexual enigma that had no name, no category, no safe space in the rigid moral structure of 19th century European aristocracy. The psychological warfare began immediately. Every Sunday sermon became a personal attack on his soul. Every conversation about marriage felt like a noose tightening around his throat. Every family gathering where relatives discussed the perverted degenerates corrupting European society sent daggers of shame straight through his heart. Prince Philipp was trapped in a body that betrayed everything his bloodline represented, cursed with desires that could destroy a dynasty that had ruled for centuries. The isolation was suffocating. While other princes shared their romantic conquests and sexual exploits, Philipp suffered in complete silence, carrying secrets that grew heavier with each passing day. He began having nightmares where his family discovered his true nature and had him publicly executed in the town square, his royal blood spilling onto cobblestones while crowds cheered for the death of the deviant prince. He tried desperately to cure himself through prayer, through fasting, through punishing physical exercise that left him collapsed and bleeding. He begged God to remove these unholy desires, to make him normal, to let him feel what other princes felt for appropriate women of noble birth. But the more he fought against his nature, the stronger it became, like trying to hold back a dam that was destined to break. The turning point came during a state dinner when he caught himself staring at both the French ambassador's beautiful daughter and his devastatingly handsome son. In that moment of terrifying clarity, Prince Philipp realized he wasn't broken. He was something entirely different, something the world had no words for, something that made him more dangerous to the established order than any political revolution. That night, he made a decision that would seal his fate forever. He would stop fighting his nature and start hiding it instead. He would become a master of deception, a virtuoso of lies, a prince who could love anyone while appearing to love no one. But first, he needed to find someone who could teach him the deadly art of sexual survival in a world designed to destroy people like him. And he knew exactly who that teacher would be, the one person in the castle whose secrets were even darker than his own. The first time Prince Philipp kissed a man, he thought he was going to die. Not metaphorically, literally die from the sheer terror that coursed through his veins like poison as his lips met those of Count Friedrich von Zeckendorf, his 23-year-old riding instructor, behind the abandoned chapel on the castle grounds in the autumn of 1897. The kiss lasted only seconds, but in those stolen moments, Prince Philipp crossed a line from which there would be no return, transforming from a confused royal heir into a criminal who could be executed at dawn if anyone discovered what had just transpired. Count Friedrich wasn't just any riding instructor. He was the son of a disgraced nobleman who had been banished from court for similar unnatural tendencies, and had spent years perfecting the deadly art of seducing confused young aristocrats while maintaining an impeccable public facade. Friedrich recognized the hunger in Philipp's eyes during their riding lessons, the way the prince's breathing changed when their bodies pressed close while mounting horses, the lingering glances that spoke of desires no royal textbook had ever taught him to navigate. "Your Highness," Friedrich whispered against Philipp's trembling lips, "that you have no idea how dangerous." Enorme, but Philipp was already drowning in sensations he had never imagined possible, his entire body awakening to pleasures that felt simultaneously like salvation and damnation. Every nerve ending screamed with forbidden ecstasy, while his conscience shrieked warnings about eternal hellfire and public disgrace. The physical relationship that developed between them over the following months was a masterclass in psychological torture disguised as sexual education. Friedrich taught Philipp how to compartmentalize his desires, how to perform heterosexual interest convincingly during court functions while maintaining secret assignations that could destroy them both. Every stolen encounter in hidden chambers, every whispered endearment in darkened corridors, every moment of physical intimacy was seasoned with the constant terror of discovery. But what made their relationship infinitely more complex was that Philipp's attraction to women didn't diminish, it intensified. During the day, he would find himself fantasizing about both Friedrich's muscular embrace and Lady Elizabeth's delicate feminine curves with equal passion. This dual desire created a psychological torment that had no precedent in royal history, making him a walking contradiction that threatened the very foundations of European aristocratic society. The paranoia became overwhelming. Philip started seeing potential blackmailers in every servant's face, imagining whispered conspiracies in every corner, interpreting innocent glances as evidence of exposure. He began keeping detailed mental notes of everyone who might have witnessed their interactions, everyone who could potentially destroy his life with a single accusation. Sleep became impossible as he lay awake, calculating escape routes, suicide methods, and elaborate cover stories that might save his family's reputation if his secret was exposed. Friedrich, sensing the prince's escalating psychological breakdown, made a decision that would change everything. During their final encounter in the castle's wine cellar, surrounded by centuries-old bottles that had witnessed countless royal secrets, he pressed a folded letter into Philip's trembling hands. "There are others like us," he whispered urgently. "A secret network of European aristocrats who understand what we endure. But joining them means crossing a line that even I fear to cross." The letter contained an address in Vienna and a coded message that would grant Philip access to an underground society of bisexual and homosexual nobles who had been operating in absolute secrecy for decades. It was an invitation to paradise, or a trap that would lead directly to his execution. That night, Prince Philip stared at the letter until dawn, knowing that his next decision would either save his soul or damn it forever. But what he didn't know was that someone had already intercepted a copy of that letter, and the trap was already being set. By the spring of 1898, Prince Philip had become a virtuoso of psychological warfare against himself, perfecting the deadly art of living two completely contradictory lives within the same tormented body. During the daylight hours of royal obligation, he was the absolute epitome of aristocratic perfection, impeccably dressed in military uniforms that cost more than most people's annual income, eloquently spoken in 7 European languages, dutifully attending endless state functions where he charmed foreign dignitaries with calculated precision and flirted appropriately with the eligible daughters of European nobility who competed desperately for his attention. But when darkness fell over the castle like a protective shroud, he transformed into someone entirely different, a desperate, hunted soul sneaking through hidden passages and secret corridors to meet forbidden lovers who could destroy his entire bloodline with a single whispered confession to the wrong person. The Vienna connection that Count Friedrich had provided led Philip directly into the heart of Der Verborgene Kreis, the hidden circle, an underground network so sophisticated and carefully orchestrated that it operated like a shadow government within the highest ranks of European aristocracy. This wasn't just a simple gathering of confused young men. It was a secret society of bisexual and homosexual nobles who had been surviving through elaborate deceptions and masterful psychological manipulation for multiple generations. Their enigmatic leader was Baron Victor von Zimmermann, a calculating mastermind who had spent 30 years successfully perfecting the dangerous art of sexual espionage while simultaneously maintaining his prestigious position as personal advisor to the Austrian Emperor himself. Meeting Baron Victor for the first time in a concealed chamber hidden beneath a Vienna opera house was like staring into a terrifying mirror that reflected Philip's potential future. A man who had successfully navigated decades of forbidden desires while climbing to the highest ranks of European political power. "Your Highness," Victor said with a smile that contained both genuine warmth and unmistakable warning, "welcome to the most dangerous club in all of Europe. Here, we don't just risk our reputations or our family names, we risk our very lives every single day for the simple privilege of loving whom we choose to love." The comprehensive training Philip received from the Hidden Circle was more thorough and practical than any royal education he had ever experienced in his privileged life. He learned how to identify potential lovers through elaborate systems of subtle codes, specific ways of adjusting golden cufflinks, particular phrases woven seamlessly into casual conversation, certain patterns of eye contact that could communicate volumes of forbidden information without speaking a single compromising word. He mastered the intricate art of creating alibis so convincing and detailed that even his personal servants completely believed his fabricated stories about extended hunting expeditions and diplomatic missions that were actually elaborate covers for dangerous romantic rendezvous. Tell me in the comments what part of this story shocks you the most so far. Is it the sophisticated secret society operating within European royalty, the psychological torture of living a perpetual double life, or the devastating betrayal of innocent people caught in Philipp's web of absolutely necessary deceptions? But the psychological toll was becoming absolutely devastating to his mental stability. Living constantly suspended between two contradictory worlds meant that Prince Philip never experienced even a single moment of truly authentic existence, never felt safe enough to simply be himself without calculation or performance. But Philip's carefully constructed double life was about to crumble into dust because someone had been methodically watching his every move, secretly documenting his clandestine meetings, patiently building an ironclad case that would expose not just him, but the entire network of forbidden lovers who believed they were completely invisible. Prince Philip's most perilous affair began in winter 1899 with Captain Alexander Bathiani, the devastatingly handsome Hungarian cavalry officer assigned to his personal security. Alexander possessed a lethal combination of military precision and raw masculine beauty that made the prince abandon every safety protocol the Hidden Circle had taught him. Alexander wasn't just any officer. He was a Hungarian count's son with direct connections to the Austro-Hungarian court, making their affair a potential international incident. The captain had sinister motives. His family's estates were drowning in debt, and compromising material involving a German prince could provide blackmail opportunities or protection from enemies wanting to destroy the Bathiani bloodline. They developed elaborate coded communications disguised as routine security briefings. Alexander would include specific phrases in daily reports, indicating when and where they could meet safely. Philip learned to interpret everything from sword placement angles to riding glove colors as secret messages about their next forbidden rendezvous. Their relationship grew increasingly reckless as emotional attachment overrode rational caution. Alexander began taking dangerous liberties during public appearances, standing closer than protocol demanded, making touches that observant courtiers could interpret as deliberately intimate. During one terrifying state dinner, he whispered something explicitly sexual in Philip's ear that made the prince blush visibly, causing foreign diplomats to exchange knowing glances that could have launched political investigations. The near-catastrophic exposure came during a Black Forest hunting expedition when Philip's cousin, Duke Ernst, almost discovered them in passionate embrace behind the royal lodge. Only Alexander's lightning reflexes saved them. He transformed their compromising kiss into apparent urgent discussion about potential assassins, complete with drawn weapons and convincing concern for the prince's safety. Duke Ernst praised Alexander's dedication, never realizing he had interrupted the scandal that could topple the monarchy. The psychological pressure of constantly evading discovery while maintaining their intensely physical relationship began destroying both men's mental stability. Philip experienced severe panic attacks during official functions, convinced everyone could see his secrets written across his face. Alexander became increasingly paranoid about other officers, interpreting routine conversations as evidence of surveillance. But their affair was taking a catastrophically dangerous turn, because Alexander had been secretly documenting every detail of their relationship in explicit letters to his sister in Budapest. Letters containing enough compromising information to destroy not just Philip, but every member of the Hidden Circle whose names the prince had whispered during intimate moments. Those letters were about to fall into the hands of someone who had been systematically hunting European royal scandals, building a collection of compromising material that could topple governments and rewrite Europe's political map. The hunter was closing in, and Prince Philip had no idea his most trusted lover had become his most dangerous enemy. By summer 1900, the walls were closing in on Prince Philip from every direction, creating a suffocating trap between family duty and personal truth. His father, Duke Alfred of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, had begun making increasingly pointed comments about securing the family bloodline through immediate marriage to a suitable European princess. Every breakfast became an interrogation about potential brides. Every family gathering transformed into strategic planning for dynastic alliances. The pressure reached breaking point during a brutal family meeting where Duke Alfred presented a detailed list of acceptable marriage candidates, complete with political advantages, dowry amounts, and breeding assessments that reduced noble women to royal livestock. "You will choose one by Christmas," his father declared with cold authority, "or I will choose for you. The Saxe-Coburg bloodline requires heirs, not your bachelor frivolities." What made the situation infinitely more torturous was that Philippe genuinely cared for several women on his father's list, particularly Princess Sofia of Bulgaria, whose intelligence had captivated him during chaperoned encounters at European courts. His bisexual nature meant marrying her wouldn't be complete emotional fraud, but it would require abandoning Alexander, destroying hidden circle connections, and transforming into a performance of heterosexual normalcy that would poison his soul over decades. His mother, Duchess Marie Alexandrovna, intensified the psychological warfare by sharing intimate details about marriage expectations and the sacred duty of royal wives to produce male heirs regardless of personal feelings. She spoke casually about closing one's eyes and thinking of the empire during marital intimacies, describing sexual martyrdom that would destroy everything Philip had discovered about authentic passion. Sleep became impossible as competing loyalties tore through his mind. During daylight, he found himself genuinely enchanted by Princess Sophia's philosophical conversations, imagining genuine friendship and intellectual partnership. But when darkness fell and Alexander appeared for secret meetings, Philip would be consumed by hunger that made heterosexual marriage feel like volunteering for spiritual imprisonment. The breaking point came during formal engagement discussions with Princess Sophia's father, where Philip was expected to propose within the month. Sitting in that ornate Bulgarian palace, surrounded by portraits of royal ancestors who had fulfilled dynastic duties without question, Philip felt his world fracturing along invisible fault lines. That night, he wrote 3 different letters. One to Alexander, confessing love and begging him to flee Europe together. One to Princess Sophia, explaining his true nature. And one to his father, confessing everything and accepting whatever punishment awaited a deviant prince. He sealed all 3, but sent none, knowing each represented different forms of suicide. But while Prince Philip agonized over impossible choices, the decision was being taken from his hands entirely. Alexander's sister in Budapest had finally received those detailed letters documenting the affair, and she had made a choice that would change European history forever. She was selling them to the highest bidder, and the auction had already begun. The first blackmail letter arrived on a frost-covered December morning in 1900, delivered by an anonymous messenger who vanished into Vienna streets. Prince Philip's hands trembled as he broke the crimson seal, recognizing his world was about to collapse. The letter contained devastating excerpts from Alexander's correspondence, documenting their affair in graphic detail. "Your Royal Highness," it began with mock courtesy, "I possess 47 letters detailing your intimate relationship with my brother, Captain Alexander Bathiani. These documents contain sufficient evidence to destroy not only your reputation, but your entire family's standing. You have 1 week to deliver 50,000 gold marks, or copies will be delivered to your father, the Kaiser, the Pope, and every major European newspaper." The blackmailer was Countess Elisaveta Bathiani, Alexander's brilliant sister, who had systematically planned this extortion while her family's debts mounted catastrophically. She understood exactly how much power she wielded over European royalty. This wasn't simple blackmail. It was calculated assault on monarchy itself. Philip's instinct was to confess everything, But Alexander begged him to pay, swearing Elizaveta would honor the agreement. "She's not evil. She's desperate," Alexander insisted during their frantic wine cellar meeting. "Our family faces ruin. Pay her, and this ends." But Philip knew blackmailers never stopped with one payment. Elizaveta would return, demanding larger sums until they were destroyed. The only way to end blackmail was removing the blackmailer permanently, transforming him from victim to murderer. The following week's psychological torture nearly drove Philip to complete breakdown. He couldn't eat, sleep, or focus without imagining scandal exploding across newspapers. Every servant's glance seemed suspicious. Every conversation felt like interrogation. Every public appearance became performance, while terror consumed his sanity. A second letter arrived, demanding double the amount and threatening to expose the entire Hidden Circle network, whose members' names Alexander had shared during intimate conversations. Elizaveta realized she possessed information to blackmail dozens of European nobles simultaneously, transforming desperate extortion into systematic assault on aristocratic society. Philip understood this was sexual terrorism designed to destabilize European politics. Elizaveta wasn't demanding money. She was declaring war on monarchy itself, using forbidden love as her weapon. That night, he made the most terrifying decision of his life. He would meet her demands, but not with gold. He would bring something far more permanent to their midnight rendezvous at the abandoned Habsburg hunting lodge outside Vienna. But as Philip prepared for what he believed would be final confrontation, he had no idea Elizaveta had already made copies of every piece of evidence and distributed them to allies across Europe. The scandal was no longer one woman's blackmail scheme. It had become a conspiracy reaching into the highest levels of European power. Prince Philip arrived at the abandoned Habsburg hunting lodge at the stroke of midnight, his military pistol concealed beneath his winter coat and his conscience already murdered by desperate circumstances. The December wind howled through bare trees like ancestral screams as he approached the crumbling stone structure where Countess Elizaveta waited with her arsenal of destroying evidence. But what he discovered inside that cursed lodge would haunt him for the remainder of his tortured existence. Elizaveta wasn't alone. She had brought Count Wilhelm von Habsburg, the disgraced Austrian nobleman who had been secretly orchestrating a systematic campaign to expose and destroy bisexual and homosexual members of European aristocracy. This wasn't random blackmail born from financial desperation. It was coordinated political assassination designed to purge sexual deviants from positions of power across the entire continent. "Your Royal Highness," Count Wilhelm said with a smile containing pure malevolence, "welcome to the final act of your perverted little drama. Countess Elizaveta has been working for me for months, systematically collecting evidence against degenerates like yourself who corrupt European civilization's moral foundation. Tonight, you will sign a detailed confession of your unnatural crimes, abdicate all claims to royal succession, and disappear from aristocratic society forever. Or tomorrow morning, every newspaper in Europe will publish graphic accounts of your sexual depravity." The psychological torture that followed was infinitely more brutal than any physical violence could have been. They forced him to read aloud excerpts from Alexander's most intimate letters, describing their sexual encounters in graphic detail that transformed his most precious memories into weapons of shame and humiliation. They showed him photographs that Alexander had been secretly taking during their private moments, compromising images that could destroy not just Philip, but every member of the Hidden Circle whose faces appeared in sexually explicit situations. Prince Philip's mind began fragmenting under the unbearable psychological pressure. The man he had trusted with his deepest secrets, the lover who had sworn eternal devotion, had been systematically documenting evidence for his sister's extortion scheme, while simultaneously being manipulated by a larger conspiracy designed to eliminate sexual minorities from European power structures. Every passionate kiss had been calculated betrayal. Every whispered endearment had been manipulated deception. Every moment of authentic connection had been elaborate theater. The absolute breaking point came when they revealed Alexander himself, bound and gagged in the lodge's basement, his once beautiful face bearing unmistakable evidence of systematic torture that had extracted additional confessions about other Hidden Circle members. Prince Philip realized with crystalline horror that his beloved hadn't been a willing conspirator. He had been another victim, brutally manipulated and tortured into providing evidence that would destroy dozens of innocent lives. "Sign the confession immediately," Count Wilhelm demanded, pressing a quill into Philip's trembling hand. "Or we will torture him to death while you watch helplessly, then publish everything anyway. Your only choice is whether he dies quickly or slowly." In that moment of absolute psychological destruction, something fundamental and irreparable shattered inside Prince Philip's consciousness. The carefully constructed identity he had spent years building collapsed into fragments that could never be reassembled. What happened next would be whispered about in European society's darkest corners for decades. Prince Philip didn't sign the confession. The gunshots echoing through the winter forest marked the end of his innocence and the beginning of a continental manhunt. But as dawn broke over the blood-soaked lodge, revealing 3 bodies and 1 empty confession document, Prince Philip had already vanished into history's shadows. The broken prince was no longer running from exposure. He was hunting the remaining conspirators who had destroyed his life. The massive manhunt for Prince Philip of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha began at dawn on December 15, 1900, when Austrian authorities discovered the horrific blood-soaked hunting lodge and 3 mangled bodies that would send devastating shockwaves through every European royal court. Count Wilhelm von Habsburg lay dead with a single bullet through his heart. Countess Elisabetta Bathiani had been shot execution-style with military precision, and Captain Alexander Bathiani's brutally tortured corpse bore unmistakable evidence of systematic brutality before his merciful final release. The hastily constructed official story claimed that Count Wilhelm had heroically discovered a criminal extortion plot and been tragically murdered during his valiant attempt to protect sacred royal honor. But surviving conspiracy members knew the devastating truth. Prince Philip had transformed from innocent victim into cold-blooded executioner, systematically eliminating 3 key players in an elaborate plot reaching European aristocracy's highest levels. Duke Alfred of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha received the earth-shattering news of his son's apparent death with a complex mixture of profound grief and guilty relief that would torment his conscience forever. The carefully crafted official announcements declared that Prince Philip had been heroically killed while courageously defending royal honor against dangerous criminal conspirators, transforming him into a posthumous hero rather than acknowledging him as a fugitive murderer. The brutal psychological transformation that permanent exile imposed on Prince Philip was infinitely more devastating than any physical torture. He had cold-bloodedly murdered 3 human beings, permanently abandoned his royal identity, and condemned himself to a nightmarish life of perpetual hiding, where every sunrise brought fresh waves of paralyzing terror regarding potential discovery and inevitable execution. For exactly 18 torturous months, Prince Philip lived like a constantly hunted animal, desperately moving through sophisticated underground networks that the Hidden Circle had established for emergency escapes. He worked grueling manual labor as a stable hand in remote rural Hungary, an anonymous dock worker in industrial Amsterdam, and an impoverished tutor in isolated Swiss mountain villages, always obsessively watching for signs of recognition, always mentally prepared to flee immediately. The absolutely final blow to his shattered psyche came when he learned through underground sources that the Hidden Circle had been completely destroyed in the direct aftermath of his violent actions. European authorities, using incriminating evidence discovered in the hunting lodge, had systematically arrested, imprisoned, and executed dozens of bisexual and homosexual aristocrats across the continent in an unprecedented purge. The overwhelming guilt was infinitely more crushing than constant fear. Prince Philip realized with crystalline horror that his desperate decision to kill the conspirators rather than submit to their demands had inadvertently triggered the very systematic purge they had been threatening. His attempt to save the Hidden Circle had instead guaranteed its complete destruction, making him responsible not just for 3 murders, but dozens of additional deaths. In the spring of 1902, completely broken and spiritually destroyed beyond redemption, Prince Philip made his final decision. Standing on windswept Cornwall cliffs, staring at grey Atlantic waters that had claimed countless souls seeking escape from unbearable suffering, he prepared to end a life that had devolved into nothing more than an extended death sentence. But as Prince Philip raised the military pistol to his trembling temple, prepared to join countless ghosts haunting his every moment, a ship's horn echoed across choppy water like a mysterious voice from another world, carrying an impossible possibility he had never considered. There was still one place on Earth where a dead prince could be completely reborn, where the blood-soaked past could be buried forever, and where authentic love might exist without constant execution threats. But reaching that distant sanctuary would require one final act of unforgivable betrayal that would damn his immortal soul eternally. The ship that saved Prince Philip's life carried him across the Atlantic to Argentina, where European fugitives could disappear into the vast pampas and emerge as different people. In Buenos Aires, surrounded by exiles running from wars and scandals, the former prince discovered something revolutionary: authentic existence without suffocating royal expectations or constant terror of sexual persecution. He became Philippe Moncler, a French wine merchant seeking opportunities in South America. For the first time in his adult life, he could love whom he chose without fearing execution. In Buenos Aires's cosmopolitan immigrant community, where European social rules held less power and sexual diversity was quietly tolerated among artistic classes, Philippe found peace that had eluded Prince Philippe entirely. The man he fell in love with was Diego Ramirez, a passionate Argentine poet whose family had been destroyed by political violence, leaving him with the same haunted understanding of loss that Philippe carried. Their relationship was built on shared trauma rather than deception, honest about haunting ghosts without requiring either man to perform masculinity that felt like spiritual death. For 7 years, Philippe Moncler lived authentically. He established a successful import business, wrote poetry exploring exile and forbidden love, and created a salon where European intellectuals and Argentine artists could discuss politics and sexuality without crushing censorship that dominated their homelands. But the past hunts those who try to escape it. In 1909, German journalist Klaus Brenner arrived in Buenos Aires, researching European royal scandals. Brenner had spent years investigating Prince Philippe's mysterious disappearance, discovering enough evidence to piece together the truth about hunting lodge murders and hidden circles' systematic destruction. The confrontation between Philippe and Brenner in a Buenos Aires cafe was like watching a man excavate his own grave. Brenner didn't want money. He wanted to tell the complete story of how sexual persecution had driven a European prince to murder and exile, hoping exposure might prevent similar tragedies. "The world needs to know what they did to you," Brenner insisted with righteous fury. "Your story could change how society treats people like us. You could become a symbol of resistance instead of shame." But Philippe was no longer the idealistic prince who dreamed of changing the world. 7 years of exile taught him some prices are too high for justice, some truths too dangerous to survive exposure. He had found love, peace, and purpose in Argentina, luxuries that revealing his identity would destroy. The choice he made that day defined his remaining hidden life. Philippe Moncler would die with Brenner's research notes, taking the secret of Prince Philippe's survival to his grave. The world would never know a European prince had chosen love over duty, authenticity over approval, exile over execution. Prince Philippe died officially in 1900. But Philippe Moncler lived until 1951, surrounded by friends who loved him without knowing his royal blood, mourned by a man who shared his bed for decades without learning his true name. He was buried in Buenos Aires, marked only with his chosen identity and Spanish inscription. He loved truly in a world that forbade truth. If this story moved you, if it opened your eyes to the price our ancestors paid for living authentically, Please subscribe to hear more forbidden history that powerful families tried to bury forever. Their stories deserve to be remembered without shame.